You wake up one morning and realize you become a human magnet for emotional bloodsuckers. Not a normal magnet, no, one of those industrial ones that attracts only the worst kind of people. Those who adore you for 5 minutes and then spend the rest of their lives trying to turn off your light as if it were a faulty switch that keeps them awake at night. Welcome to the Empaths Club, where your greatest gift is also your personal curse. And where Carl Jung, that Swiss genius with a beard of a biblical prophet, spent years documenting why your social life resembles a slow-motion car crash. Jung wasn't kidding when he discovered this psychological pattern. He observed case after case of people with extraordinary empathic abilities who seem to have a broken radar for human relationships. Always the same dynamics, always the same tragic ending. You're there, your heart open like a revolving door in a shopping mall, ready to welcome anyone who knocks. And they knock, oh, they knock. They arrive with their tears, their dramas, their shattered lives that look like puzzles knocked off a table by a psychopathic cat. And what do? You gather them, you listen to them, you create that safe space where they can finally be themselves, without masks, without bullshit, without that plastic facade they wear for the rest of the world. If you're nodding and thinking, finally, someone who understands, like this now, it's our secret handshake and I'll see it. But here's the twist that Jung documented with the precision of a Swiss watchmaker, and which is probably already blown up in your face at least 3 times in your life. Those same people who sought you out as if you were the last glass of water in the Sahara Desert begin to hate you. Not immediately, obviously. First, there's the honeymoon phase where you're their personal savior, their unpaid therapist, their emotional lifeline. Then, without warning, like a summer storm coming out of nowhere, they start criticizing you. You're too intense, too sensitive, too emotional, too everything. As if being an authentic person were a crime against humanity and you were the primary culprit. Jung called this phenomenon shadow projection, but let's translate it into human language. People who hate you don't hate you, they hate themselves. They hate that part of themselves they've buried alive under tons of trauma, social conditioning, and that emotional mask they've worn since they realized showing vulnerability in this world is like walking naked in a hailstorm. You, with your emotional authenticity shining like a beacon in the fog, remind them of everything they've lost. Every time they see you genuinely feel something, every time you respond with real empathy instead of those fortune cookie phrases, you become a mirror that reflects their emotional death. And no one likes looking in the mirror when they know they're a walking corpse. The most disturbing part Jung discovered is this. These people are looking for you on purpose. Their unconscious knows what they've lost and pinpoints you like a deranged GPS desperately searching for a signal. They're drawn to your emotional vitality like moths to a lamp. But moths, remember, always end up burned. And when they get burned, they blame the light, not their evolutionary stupidity in flying towards something that will kill them. You are that light, and they're so accustomed to the darkness that when they get too close, instead of thanking you for showing them there's an alternative to their emotional bunker, they attack you because the light hurts their eyes after years spent in the dark. Let's talk about the fundamental paradox Jung identified. The more authentic you are, the more you become a threat. Not a physical threat, obviously, a psychological threat. Your genuine emotions undermine the psychological defenses others have carefully constructed with the same care a child takes to build a sandcastle. A sandcastle that, incidentally, collapses at the first wave. And you are that wave, not because you want to destroy anything, but simply because you exist in your truth while they live in their lie. Your very presence becomes a silent interrogation of their life choices. Why do you feel and they don't? Why are you emotionally alive and they're walking mummies wrapped in bandages of cynicism and detachment? These questions buzz in their unconscious like mosquitoes in summer, and rather than make the effort to confront them, they prefer to squash you. Jung observed in his patients what he called a developed feeling function. Simply put, you're one of those rare human specimens who hasn't severed their connection to their emotions in order to survive.
Most people, and Jung documented this case after case, learned early in life that feeling is dangerous, that vulnerability is weakness, that if you show your true self, you'll be eaten alive by this world, which has the compassion of a hungry shark in a tank full of flesh. So what do? They disconnect. They construct a false personality, a social mask that Jung called a persona, and spend the rest of their lives playing a part that fits them like a dress bought 3 sizes too small on a Chinese website. But not you. You, by some miracle or genetic curse, have maintained that connection. You feel your own stuff and you feel other people's stuff too, as if you had an emotional satellite dish pointed at every human frequency within 50 kilometers radius. And that's your superpower and your kryptonite. Because when you meet someone who spent 30 years burying their emotions under layers of denial thicker than the Earth's crust, your presence becomes painful. You're the walking reminder of everything they've sacrificed on the altar of social acceptance. You represent the road not taken, the life unlived, the authenticity abandoned like a puppy on the highway. Jung identified 4 main types of people who will attack you for your authenticity. The first type is the emotional critic. This individual has one mission in life: to tell you that your emotions are wrong, too intense, too frequent, too visible, too bothersome. They've become so adept at suppressing their feelings that when they see you freely express your feelings, they experience a brain short circuit. The unconscious shame over their own emotional death turns into anger toward you. They'll tell you to grow up, to be more rational, to stop being so dramatic. But what they're really saying is, stop reminding me that I once knew how to cry over anything other than the death of a relative or the finals of a championship game.
The second type is the needy manipulator. This variant is more insidious. He seeks you out specifically to feed on your emotional energy, like an energy vampire who's found the blood bank open 24 hours a day. He pours all his problems, his crises, his daily dramas onto you. You listen, you support, you offer that genuine understanding that has become rarer than gold. And he becomes dependent, but not dependent on you as a person, dependent on feeling seen and understood. The problem? That feeling reminds him of how empty the rest of his life is, how superficial all his other relationships are. Instead of thanking you for this gift, he begins to resent you. He's given you too much power over him. You've seen too much of himself. You know too many of his secrets. And this makes him feel vulnerable, exposed, like a crab that's lost its shell. So what does he do? He punishes you for his own vulnerability. He pushes you away. He criticizes you. He distorts the narrative until you become the problem. The third type is the emotional competitor. This character has an ego so fragile it could shatter just by looking at it askance. He can't stand the fact that you might be more in touch with your emotions than he is. He can't stand the fact that people come to you for emotional support instead of him. He begins an absurd competition where he tries to prove that he's sensitive too, that he's empathetic too, that he understands too, but it's all performative, all fake, all calculated. And when he realizes that people distinguish authenticity from acting, when he realizes that your emotional gold is real while his is only plastic gold, envy turns to hostility. He'll accuse you of being fake, of manipulating others with your sensitivity, of acting the part of the beautiful soul. He's projecting, obviously. He's describing exactly what he does. The fourth type is the cynical convert. This is perhaps the saddest of all. It's that person who was once like you. He felt, he cared, he loved genuinely. Then the world hurt him so much that he decided to close up shop emotionally forever. He embraced cynicism as a philosophy of life. He made emotional detachment his armor. And when he sees you, he sees himself before the transformation. He sees the innocence he lost, the hope he abandoned, the capacity for love he buried under meters of disenchantment. And instead of feeling nostalgia or a desire to return to that version of himself, he feels disgust, because admitting that part of himself is missing would mean admitting he made the wrong choice. So what does he do? He tries to convert you to his cynicism. He tells you that you will grow, that you will understand, that you too will become like him. And when you refuse to follow him into that emotional bunker, when you prove that you can stay open without dying, he becomes your most bitter enemy. Jung understood that this isn't conscious sadism. Most of these people don't wake up in the morning thinking, today I'm going to ruin an empath's life. No, it's all unconscious. It's their psychological system in survival mode that identifies you as a threat to their denial. You know when you've been in a dark room for hours and someone suddenly turns on the light? That pain in your eyes, that reaction of closing them and yelling for everything to be turned off? You are that light. And their psychological eyes are so accustomed to the dark that your brightness causes them physical pain. The fact that you're not doing anything wrong, that you're just being yourself, is irrelevant. The pain is real to them even if it's not your fault. But here's where it gets really sadistic. Jung discovered that most of these people often don't just attack you, they do it by disguising their attacks as worry. They tell you that you should protect yourself, that the world will tear you apart, that you must harden your heart if you want to survive. It sounds like advice, but it's chocolate-coated bullets. What they're really saying is, become dead inside like me so I can stop feeling guilty about being dead inside. Every time they suggest you be less sensitive, they're trying to normalize their insensitivity. Every time they tell you that you're too good for this world, they're justifying their decision to be bad. It's as if they need you to fail so they can feel better about their own emotional failure. The mirror trap is what Jung called this mechanism. You become the mirror that automatically reflects what they've lost. You can't avoid it. It's in your nature. Your authentic presence is like a metal detector that finds buried emotional minds everywhere it goes. And when people see their own exploded minds reflected in you, they don't think, wow, maybe I should address these buried issues. No, they think it's that empathic asshole who makes me feel things I don't want to feel. And so the attacks begin. You're too much, you're intense, you're heavy, you're a burden. All those accusations that really are about them, not you. But they fire them at you because it's easier than looking inside themselves and confronting the emotional cemetery they've built inside themselves. There's a pattern Jung observed repeatedly, and one you'll probably recognize. Relationships always follow the same cycle of horror. Stage 1, idealization. They put you on a pedestal. You're incredible. You're different from everyone else. Finally, someone who understands. They make you feel special, seen, appreciated. It's like a drug, this recognition. And you believe it because you're authentic and you assume others are too. Stage 2, revelation. You begin to truly see them. Not just the beautiful parts they show you, but also the shadows, the traumas, the hidden wounds. And instead of judging, you do what you always do. You welcome those parts too. You give them space to be human, imperfect, broken. Stage 3, dependence. They become addicted to this acceptance. They constantly seek you out. You've created such a safe space that they never want to leave. And that's where the problem begins, because the more they depend on you, the more vulnerable they feel, and vulnerability is terrifying for them.
Stage 4, resentment. They begin to hate you for the power you've given them over them. Power they willingly gave you, but now see as manipulation on your part. They see too much of you. You know too much. They're too exposed. And their unconscious mind begins to look for flaws in you to justify their withdrawal. You're too available, so you're desperate. You're too understanding, so you're fake. You're too empathetic, so you're trying to control them. Every quality of yours is distorted into its negative opposite. Stage 5, devaluation. Now you've come down from your pedestal and been thrown into the mud. Everything that was once wonderful is now problematic. Your sensitivity is weakness. Your openness is naivety. Your authenticity is manipulation. They attack you, often publicly, often involving others to validate their distorted narrative. Stage 6, abandonment. They walk away, usually dramatically, blaming you for everything. And you sit there like an idiot wondering what the hell just happened. Why you went from savior to monster in what seems like the blink of an eye, but was actually a slow psychological poisoning. Jung understood that this cycle isn't personal, even if it feels very personal when you're in the midst of it. It's an archetypal pattern, a psychological dance as old as humanity itself. The emotionally dead person seeks the empath to feel alive again. But feeling alive also means feeling the pain they've buried, and that pain is intolerable. So they run away, but they run away blaming you for making them feel those things. It's as if they called you to put out a fire in their emotional house and then reported you for using too much water. The logic is twisted, but it makes perfect sense to them because the alternative would be to admit the house was already burning before you arrived. Now, the real question Jung asked is this: what do you do with this awareness? Because knowing the pattern doesn't make it any less painful when it happens to you. Intellectually understanding that they're projecting doesn't take away the emotional stab when they attack you. Jung wasn't one of those New Age therapists who tell you to send love and light to everyone. He was Swiss, practical, realistic. He developed what he called shadow integration for empaths, but which we can translate as how to avoid being destroyed by this shit while maintaining your authenticity. First move, recognize patterns before they repeat themselves. Learn the warning signs. That person who idealizes you too quickly, a giant red flag. The person who treats you like their personal savior after 2 conversations, red alert. The person who shares deep traumas without ever asking how you're doing, run quickly. Because what comes after idealization is never pretty. It's always the stage where you become the enemy. If you can spot the pattern early on, you can choose not to ride the emotional roller coaster. Not because you're cynical or open-minded, but because you've learned that not everyone is ready for what you offer. And trying to force it is like trying to water plastic plants. You can pour all the water you want, but they'll never grow. Second move. Put up boundaries that feel like reinforced concrete walls. Empaths have this chronic problem called jelly boundaries. They give in, adapt, bend, and stretch to accommodate everyone. And toxic people sense this like sharks sense blood in water. Jung insisted that maintaining authenticity doesn't mean being available to everyone at all times. You can be genuine and have boundaries. You can be empathetic and say no. You can feel deeply and decide who to share those feelings with. Boundaries aren't walls that shut you in. They're filters that keep shit out. And believe me, there's a lot of shit out there trying to get into your emotional home. Third step, find your tribe. Jung discovered that empaths often think they're aliens on this planet. And in a way they are, but they're not the only ones. There are others out there who feel the same way you do, who understand without needing endless explanations, who won't attack you for being who you are. The trick is to stop seeking validation from emotionally dead people and start seeking connection with emotionally alive people. It's like spending years trying to befriend marble statues and then complaining that no one responds. Seek out real humans, those who are emotionally breathing, and suddenly you'll discover that you're not too much of anything. You're exactly the right amount of yourself for the right people. Step 4. Use your empathy as a strength, not a flaw to be corrected. The world has sold you the lie that being sensitive is a flaw, something to be overcome or hidden. But Jung saw the truth. Empathy is a superpower in a world dying of emotional coldness. The problem has never been that you feel too much. The problem is that we live in a culture that has normalized feeling too little. Your ability to connect, to understand, to respond with an open heart is not something to be diminished. It is something to be fiercely protected, while you choose wisely where to direct it. Don't waste your money on people who don't recognize the value of what's in front of them.
Fifth move, accept that some people will never change. This is tough, I know. Empaths have this romantic dream that if they just love hard enough, if they just understand deeply enough, they can save anyone. But Jung was clear on this point. Some people have invested so much in their emotional death that resurrecting them would require a miracle you are not equipped to perform. Not because you're not good enough, but because the will to change must come from within them, not from how hard you try to dig them out of their hole. You can offer the rope, but if they refuse to take it, you have to accept that the choice is theirs, and walking away isn't abandonment, it's survival. Jung talked about what he called the process of individuation, which essentially means becoming fully yourself instead of being what everyone else wants you to be. For empaths, this process is particularly brutal because your nature pushes you toward merging, connecting, feeling with and for others. But individuation requires separation. It requires knowing where you end and others begin. It requires being able to say, "That's your pain, not mine. That's your choice, not my responsibility. That emotional mess is yours to clean up. I'm not your personal janitorial service." This separation doesn't make you less empathetic. It makes you healthier. The most disturbing part, Jung documented, was what happens to empaths who don't learn to protect themselves. He saw them implode, collapse under the weight of absorbing all the emotions of others without ever processing their own. He saw them become so drained that they end up becoming the very emotionally dead people they once helped. It's as if the system overloads and shuts down everything for self-protection. They become cynical, detached, withdrawn. And this is the true tragedy, because the world has lost another light, and that person has lost themselves. Jung saw this as the greatest failure of the empathic journey, when the light goes out not because someone turned it off, but because the person themselves decided it was safer to live in the darkness. But there's another side to this. Jung documented empaths who walked through this fire and emerged transformed into something stronger. Not tough, but strong. There's a difference. Tough means closed, protected, emotionally dead. Strong means open, but with boundaries. Empathetic but wise. Available but selective. These individuals have learned what Jung called luminous compassion. They can shine fully, knowing that some won't tolerate that light, and instead of feeling guilty about it, they have compassion for others' pain without making it their own. They can say, "I'm sorry, my authenticity hurts you, but I don't have to shut down to make you feel better about your own dullness." This is empathic maturity. It's not becoming less sensitive, it's becoming wise about where to direct that sensitivity. Jung believed these integrated empaths were essential to humanity's emotional evolution, not as messianic saviors, but as living examples that another way is possible. In a world where emotional intelligence has been replaced by emojis and likes, where deep conversations have been replaced by memes and gifs, where people prefer sharing their lives on social media rather than truly living them, the authentic empath is a revolutionary act. Your very existence is a protest against superficiality, a rejection of cultural coldness, a demonstration that one can live with an open heart without bleeding to death. But Jung wasn't naive. He knew this path was costly. It costs in lost relationships, in felt pain, in repeated disappointments. He wasn't selling you a fairy tale where being empathetic brings you an easy life filled with grateful people. No, he was telling you the harsh truth. Being authentic in a false world will make you a target. People will hate you for your light. They will attack you for your openness. They will punish you for your authenticity. And you have to decide if it's worth it. If you'd prefer to live as yourself and deal with resentment, or die inside like them to find peace. There's no universal right answer, but Jung believed that for certain individuals, those born with this sensitivity, turning it off isn't an option. Not really, because you'd kill yourself to accommodate who you're not. Jung's concept of empaths and collective evolution is both fascinating and terrifying. He believed that at certain moments in history, when culture becomes too cold, too disconnected, too emotionally dead, individuals with heightened sensitivity emerge. This isn't a coincidence. It's not a genetic defect. It's a collective evolutionary response, as if humanity's collective unconscious were saying, "Damn, we've gone too far with this rationality and detachment thing. Let's send some empaths to remind people how to feel." You're a message in a bottle from humanity's collective soul to itself, a reminder that we've lost something essential in our development. But messages in bottles often fail. They're often ignored. sometimes they're destroyed by the very people who need them most. And that's the price of sensitivity in an insensitive age. Jung knew this. He wasn't promising you'd be celebrated. He was warning you that you'd be crucified, metaphorically speaking, by the very people you say you want to help. The question isn't whether this will happen. It will happen. The question is whether you'll stay true to yourself while it happens, or whether you'll bend until you break to be accepted by people who can't accept you because they can't accept themselves.
Ultimately, Jung offered a vision that is both hopeful and brutally realistic. Empaths won't save the world, not alone, not by transforming emotionally dead people into emotionally alive ones through the sheer force of love. That's magical thinking, the stuff of Disney movies. What empaths can do is continue to exist in their authenticity despite attacks, offering that authenticity to those who are ready to receive it. Some will receive it, many won't, and that's okay. Your job isn't to convert emotional non-believers. Your job is to shine for those who are searching for light in the darkness while protecting that light from those who would extinguish it because it hurts their dark, adapted eyes. You'll recognize these people by their reaction to your light. Some will close their eyes and ask you to dim the brightness. Others will slowly open their eyes, letting them adjust, and thank you for showing them there's an alternative to the darkness they've been living in. And still others will take your light and use it to ignite their own, rather than being bearers of light and absorbers of your energy. These are your tribe. These are the people worth shining for. Not the energy vampires who suck and leave, but the fire starters who take your flame and carry it forward, multiplying the light rather than extinguishing it. Jung would tell you this if he were here today, in that calm yet penetrating voice of his that made people feel seen to the core. Your empathic gift is not a mistake of evolution. You were not born wrong into a righteous world. You were born right into a world that has got astray. And your job, if you choose to accept it, is not to fix that world or save every person you meet. Your job is to keep the flame of true emotional connection alive in an age of disconnection, guarding that flame well enough to share it with those who are ready, and wisely enough not to let it be extinguished by those who fear it. You are a bridge between the humanity that has forgotten how to feel and the humanity that could remember. But bridges get trampled, and you must be strong enough to bear that weight without collapsing. The final truth Jung discovered is this: people who resent your authenticity are grappling with the grief of their own lost authenticity. When they attack you, they're crying. When they criticize you for being too much, they're regretting becoming too little. Their hostility is pain disguised as anger. And you can have compassion for that pain without being destroyed by it. You can understand without accepting abuse. You can empathize with their suffering without becoming their emotional punching bag. This is the fine line between healthy empathy and toxic self-sacrifice. One keeps you alive and useful, the other slowly kills you as you convince yourself that dying for others is noble. So no, your problem isn't that you're too sensitive. Your problem is that you live in a world that has made insensitivity the norm. And now anyone who genuinely feels something is treated like an alien to be studied or a problem to be solved. But aliens are often just explorers from a better place. And problems are often just solutions that the corrupt system can't accept. Keep feeling. Keep being authentic. But learn to choose where to direct that authenticity, who to share that sensitivity with, and when to protect yourself from those who would use you to the point of consuming you and then blame you for that consuming. Your light doesn't need to go out. It just needs to shine brighter. If this video made you feel less alone in this daily battle, leave me a like, and in the comments, tell me what attack you experienced. See you in the next video. Remember, you are not too much. They are too little.